There is a pressure, I think, out there that we got to be this way, look this way. We need to make money and this and that. It's a battle to take, I guess, being yelled at and try not to, argue back with the person. It's very hard for me. But over time, and then, through chanting, doing activities, it got easier. It's like muscle memory. Once you do something again and again and again.
From SGI USA, I'm Cassidy Bradford, and this is Buddhability, the weekly series where I talk with Buddhists from all walks of life about the power we each have to change our lives and the world around us. Hi, Cassidy from Buddhability here. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe. It'll help the show out, and you'll never miss an episode. If you want more Buddhability content, you can subscribe to our email newsletter in the link below. We put out great content every week. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Enoa, to Buddhability. We finally made it happen. We had a couple of crazy things in each of our lives and had to reschedule a bunch. So thank you so much for making time for me
Yes.
on a Wednesday morning in Hawaii. It's afternoon for me. To open things up, I always have people just introduce themselves. So you can just tell me a little bit about who you are and maybe like kind of how you spend your time, what your daily life looks like.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, Cassidy. Thank you for having me. Good morning. It's morning time in here in Hawaii. I grew up on the island of Oahu, and my free time, like to enjoy the outdoors, fishing, surfing, hiking, and yeah, of course, chanting Daimoku every day, So thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm
You.
so curious, like what it was like growing up on Oahu. Like I have only briefly visited Hawaii, so I don't actually know all that much, or especially like what daily life kind of looks like. So yeah, just tell me a little bit maybe about your life growing up.
Oahu is a beautiful place, very expensive. Actually, I
Yeah.
grew up, mom was a single mom, but I had a lot of family, a lot of friends on the island, and that I was always supported. So I always had a community of friends, and it was just great to grow up on the island. A lot of outdoor activities, beach, hiking, and always played sports with my friends too. So it was always a joy to play outside, enjoy the nature.
I imagine you being like a very active kid, and it seems like you're an active adult as well. Yeah. Not much time, like, yeah, sitting in front of a screen. And actually, even like your work is very active as well, which, we'll get to. But I know that you grew up in the SGI Buddhist community. What was it like growing up? Did you personally feel like, oh, I'm Buddhist, or did it take some time to get there?
Oh, it took some time for sure. Yes, took some time for
Hmm.
sure, for sure. Maybe when I got to high school, out of high school, then I really, took ownership of my practice. But when I was a kid, I kind of was just having fun. I went to meetings, but I wasn't like, telling everybody I'm a Buddhist. No, no. Took some time, Kind of just wanted to fit in with everybody, but as I got older, I enjoyed my practice more and more. So when I was a kid, I just was having fun. Yeah,
Hmm. I think it's
for sure.
very common, very normal to grow up feeling like, okay, I just want to fit in. You mentioned like right around the time of like finishing high school maybe is when you started developing your own practice. So can you tell me like why? Like what prompted that if you were kind of like just chilling, enjoying life?
Yeah, I went to after high school, I went to trade school.
Hmm.
Then I got a job. Faced obstacles. I was really struggling. Paying bills, working, and that's when I kind of took ownership of my practice. I realized like facing all these obstacles, work, my daily life, and I was always encouraged to chant. I'd always start my day with abundant prayer every morning and just do my best, no matter what obstacles I'd face, I was always encouraged to keep smiling, keep going. It's been joyful ever since. I always face obstacles every day. I'd always make it a determination to chant abundantly in the morning. win in the morning. So I think these obstacles in my life helped me. It was a benefit. At first, I was realizing, why am I facing all these obstacles, in my daily life, job. In Buddhism, we say it's a benefit, because it's making me stronger as a person, helping me develop my faith. So um, it was joyful, even though I was going through all these obstacles, it was a benefit because it made me chant more and engage in my activities as well. So
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
benefit.
I think from the perspective of Buddhism, when you're told, like, okay, these things are actually your opportunity, it can be a little frustrating. Like, I don't want to think about it that way. Like, I personally enjoy complaining about my problems. Uh, but, I think through chanting, we can start to see, that they're really opportunities for us. And I don't think that that's like a super common perspective in the world. Um, but, you mentioned like these were really your opportunity, all of these obstacles. So can you tell me like that time of 2019 when you were really struggling, like what kinds of challenges were you having?
I work in the AC field and dealing with people who grumble, complain, and they take it out on you. So it's a battle to take, I guess, being yelled at and try not to, argue back with the person. So that and the reality of life of paying bills, from like you're in high school, then you
Hmm.
graduate from college, and then life hits. So
Yeah.
it was a yeah, it was a real challenge for me, I guess, just adjusting as a young adult to pay bills, to get up early every day, earlier, I should say. I was always getting up early, but I usually get up like at 5 a.m. Some days I get up at 4,
Oh my gosh.
um, and try to, of course, to be on time.
Yeah.
So, and then go to work, and so I guess the challenges of daily life was hitting me, as a young man, and I look back at it now and I said, wow, why was I so worried? I had the practice, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just daily life challenges always hit me, but I'm thankful for all these
Yeah.
challenges made me grow as a person.
You mentioned the challenge of like working in like HVAC, and I mean, I imagine in Hawaii it can get incredibly hot, and if an AC is not working, people are super frustrated. Um, so to say the least. So
Yes.
like maybe you can tell me like when you were still like in that early phases of really struggling with it, like did you find yourself like really angry with your work environment with people um or like really frustrated versus how you feel now?
Yeah, very true. If the AC ain't working, somebody's always upset. Try my best to help the person out, it can be a challenge. And sometimes, yeah, it was hard. It was frustrating. But always, did my best to relax, stay calm, um, do the best that I could do, help the person out, and then, on to the next job. So, yeah, there was times I always faced challenges. Always. It was never every day was a new battle. There's times I had to chat about how can I solve this issue? How can I fix this air conditioner to please everybody, to make everybody happy? So, I did have to rack my brain on how can I fix this.
In Buddhism, we always talk about like how we can create value from situations. And part of that, like you mentioned, like seeing our challenges as opportunities for us to grow. And I think another aspect of that that I'm kind of hearing is the reality is, maybe these people are, frustrated because their AC isn't working, but like, how can I still show up to work and be able to like create value and support others and do my job well? I'm curious, after high school, you went to trade school. Why did you decide to go to trade school?
To be honest, I couldn't see myself sitting in the office.
Hmm.
doing work. So I said, I want to learn a skill that requires me to get out and, get dirty. Yeah, I couldn't see myself sitting behind a cubicle. Maybe when I get older, but right now when I'm still young, like I said, I can't sit behind a desk all day. So yeah, so I got into a trade, and I like working with my hands and getting dirty. So something I enjoyed. So yeah, I couldn't see myself like being behind a computer for 8 hours a day. So and I always enjoyed, yeah, working with my hands and getting outside.
Hmm. Yeah, because that's why I was thinking like or mentioning like your career makes sense because of also like the kind of person you are and growing up being outside and being active, having a career where you're also like out in the world, you're fixing problems, you're active, you're engaging with others. But of course, like even if something is a good fit for us, it doesn't mean it's like always going to be easy, you know? Can you tell me what it feels like when you're chanting in the morning and maybe like earlier on where you were still kind of maybe it was still harder to like feel super strong and confident. um like what did it feel like to be able to chant in the morning about like being able to do your best for the day ahead?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not gonna lie, I was tired,
Oh yeah, that's real. That's real.
but every time I would chant and my spirit would wake up. Like I could say like a Buddha nature, you can say. Although I was very tired, um, it always felt great after, chanting. There's always a battle to get up early. There's always a challenge, like mentally to get up early to sit to chant Daimoku. But I always felt great after, you know. I always felt like I could win in the day. I know I was gonna face challenges. I know I was gonna face all these obstacles, but I knew at the end of the day everything would be okay. And just to keep going, no matter what. It's a joyful battle. And after I chant, it's like, wow, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. Let's do
Yeah,
this. You
totally,
know.
totally. Have you always been somebody that is really disciplined? Because I think about like, oh my gosh, getting up really early, chanting in the morning, facing like a physically draining kind of work day. Going home, I'm sure you have other things to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, were you always somebody that was really disciplined and able to like kind of have that routine?
No, no, I don't think so.
Really? Wait, so tell me how. How did you get there? I need to know because I'm
Uh,
struggling.
I think when I got older and life hit, reality hit, then I was like, okay, it's time to win in my life. You know, win in my daily life. Because when I was a kid, I used to just sleep in, get up late, and then I think when reality hit, kicked in, and like, okay, I need to be at work at this time, need to get up at this time, do my chores, do everything, you know, to start the day. So then that's when I had to, yeah, things changed. I'd get up earlier, chat, and then go to work, do things when I came home. So it took time. It took time. But um, it got easier and easier and easier, to get up early in the day. At first, it was very hard for me, but over time, and then, through chanting, doing activities, um, yeah, it got easier. It's like muscle memory. Once you do something again and again and again, then it's like
Totally.
there's like clockwork, it
Mm-hmm.
comes naturally, yeah. So now my
Mm-hmm.
body just gets up early, So even when I don't want to get up early. So
The muscle memory is
yeah,
too
the muscle
strong.
memory, yeah, I just swoop, then I say, oh, here we go.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so encouraging for me because, like, I struggle with like maintaining routine. And I definitely feel like, yeah, that muscle memory. Did you ever chant about like, okay, I have all of these things to do today, all of these problems. I just want to be like capable today.
Oh yeah, yes, yes, like kind of like to win in my life, to win in the day. Yes, of course. There's always like obstacles, throughout the day, even in the morning, getting up. I think chanting helped me just power through, just power through and do my best. And no matter what, if I made a mistake, like I always, always had my practice to continue to keep going, like no matter what happens. So something I had to overcome too was fear of making mistakes, fear of failure. So I'd always chant to continue no matter what happens. So yeah, owning the day, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like through chanting, which I definitely relate to, it's like you're sort of fueling your life up so that you can really like take hold or like take full responsibility, like you said earlier, for your life and like, I'm going to do my best. You've been sharing how much chanting in the morning really determines the rest of your day. And I'm wondering if you can tell me, like, walk me through an example day in your life. One day you haven't chanted, and the other day you have chanted. Like, what
Wow.
is the difference between those days for somebody that maybe has never chanted before, so they don't really know?
Wow. Okay. Well, I think if I didn't chant in the morning, I think I'd be a lot maybe more swayed by my environment, maybe a little grumpy, tired, compared to if I did chant, when I have like I'm ready to roll, ready to go, ready to face whatever life throws at me. So I think there's a big difference, kind of like aligning myself with the universe when I chant, ready to face these obstacles. And if I didn't chant, I think I'd be be swayed by my environment, swayed by the negativity that comes. So um, definitely there's a big difference. I know, don't get me wrong, I always face obstacles when I do chant, but if I didn't, I think I'd be way different, So it'd
Mm.
be maybe I'd get easily swayed, I feel like,
Hmm.
by
Hmm.
whatever happens in my daily life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think, yeah, it's interesting you say, like, even when you chant, there are still challenges. Like, it's not that challenges don't exist, but that you're like unswayed. So, like, if I'm in a public place and somebody's really rude to me, like, I'm on the train and somebody's really, says something nasty, whatever, then I can be so like, for the next 24 hours, I'm like so aggravated. If I'm not chanting enough, my life is so, it's like I absorb that, and then I become really like frustrated or irritable. Versus when I'm chanting a lot, it's like somebody could say something straight to my face that was mean and it just like bounces off me, you know?
wow.
I'm like, whatever, like they must be having a really bad day.
Wow.
Do you experience that at all?
Yes. And sometimes when I don't chant as much, I can
Hmm.
take it in like, oh man, it hurt.
Yeah.
But when I chant more, it's like, okay, I let it bounce, I'll let it roll over my shoulder,
Hmm.
So definitely I can relate when I chant a lot in the morning, things don't really bother me as much as if I didn't, I think I would take things a little bit more personal. So definitely a big difference for sure. It's like I'm starting up my engine, well, we start up our engine.
So one thing that we had talked about when we had our phone call, which was now like ages ago, but you had mentioned that like around the time that you really started practicing and you got your job, you also started supporting Buddhist meetings, like kind of behind the scenes,
Mm,
and how doing that work required you to like do things like be on time and work with other people and take initiative. Um, and so, can you just tell me about like, yeah, the kinds of things that you started learning through supporting different activities?
for sure, yeah. I think that was a big part of me being disciplined that we talked about earlier. Getting ready, showing up on time, being dressed, ready to go. That was a big training ground for me in my life. Always learned a lot, always learned and grew how to, you know, like you said, take initiative, show up on time, communicate and work with everybody. It's really these groups is to support the members who come into our center, right? Supporting behind the scenes. So I really learned how to, it's like a selfless act, we do to support others. People don't see us coming in early, turning on the lights, turning on the AC, opening the doors, all these stuffs we do, right? Many things we do. Nobody sees it, but it was my greatest honor. And I still do it to this day, always how can I help other people, at our center. I feel like I grew a lot. I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for these groups. I'm more mature,
Hmm.
um, learn how to communicate, you know, working with people. Everybody's different, and just make sure everybody's happy, when
Hmm.
they come and when they leave. And of course, everybody's safety. Everybody comes to our center safely, everybody
Hmm.
leaves safely. So,
Hmm.
um, taught me how to care for others, not only about myself,
Hmm.
but how can
Hmm.
I care for others, support others.
Hmm.
So taught me to expand my life. It's not always about me. Of course, I need to take care of myself, but doing these activities taught me how to care for another person.
I think it's really easy for me to be so like wrapped up in my own world and like everything going on. And then like when I support someone else, it's like my life just feels so much bigger, you know? It's harder for me to be like swayed by things because I feel like more grounded when I'm like really supporting other people. Would you say that you see a connection between like, supporting others in like the at the community center and the work that you do? Like the skills that you've learned, do you feel like there's connection?
Oh, yes.
What kind of
Big
connections?
time. I mean, yeah, just basic life skills, just planning things out ahead, taking, like even in my job, I need to plan ahead, make a material list, ensure that everything is smooth, moving is smooth. Of course, I made mistakes, things happen, but it's how we fix our mistakes. It's not if, but when. So there's times we made mistakes, but it's how do we fix it, moving forward and always improving. So made mistakes at work, basically kind of broke something, and then I had to figure out, okay, how am I gonna fix it? Of course, I felt like, oh man, I screwed up, I did this and that.
Hmm.
But then I had to realize, okay, how am I gonna fix this problem and
Hmm.
get it done? So um yeah, it was just learning experience for me. We're all human, we're gonna make a mistake, and
Hmm.
of course it's not intentional.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um yeah, I always felt like I grew a lot,
Hmm.
from making a mistake and just not to do it again and again and again. So just I learned from my
Learning
lesson
from
and
it,
then
yeah.
yeah, learning from it. Yeah, yeah. Learn from it. Okay, I made a mistake and just keep moving, keep moving.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
always gonna make a mistake, but it's how do we solve the problem and just keep moving forward, just learn from
Hmm.
it and to continue. So doing that behind the scenes, I always applied it to my job. I was always told if like about our attitude as well. If I always showed up on time to my shift, to center, same thing with my job, right? If I came late to my shift, I'd probably be the same, at my job, show up late. So it was a training ground for me because the way I planned myself and my activities could go to my job. Yeah, just help me expand my life on a day-to-day basis.
Well, it's so funny because I think sometimes it can be easy to think that like well, in work, there's just this one part of me, but that's not reflected in the rest of my life. Or it's like just a work problem, or it's just a family problem. But the reality is, like, there's one common thing between all of them, which is us, right? So, just like you said, like, okay, if I'm going to show up late to like this Buddhist activity, of course I'm going to show up late to other things because that's like my life. I am a
Hmm.
person that like struggles to be on time. But then, yeah, when you can strengthen this skill in one place, then that is also reflected in the rest of your life. And so I'm wondering, like, yeah, since you've been practicing for quite some time now and, you grew up around Buddhism, If there are any like Buddhist concepts that you really love, like any favorite concepts or any things that you might have read that you hold close to you.
There's a famous saying, I think I said it earlier, winter always turns into spring. So it's kind of like saying, no, I mean, I live in Hawaii, so winter's not too bad here. It's always sunny, but it's always sunny. Always sometimes it get cold, but it gets cold, but not mainland cold, not too cold. But I guess it's saying like the hard times won't last forever, right? So winter will always turn to spring. So no matter what you're going through in life, things always get better, you know. So always kept that in mind, in my heart, that no matter what happens, the bad times in life won't last forever, you know. So of course there's always another challenge I'm gonna face in life, but I realize it's just like an obstacle I'm gonna get through, and there'll be another one, and I'll be ready. I'll be ready for the next one. So winter will always turn to spring. So like yeah, something I always kept in my heart, in my mind, that tough times don't last forever.
It's
Yeah.
favorite one of mine too.
Yes.
And I think one thing I also remind myself sometimes is like, okay, and spring doesn't last forever either. Like winter's gonna come back, and that's okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, that's the seasons. That's
The
the rhythm
season,
of
yep.
life. You know,
Very
it's
true.
okay if more challenges come. That's fine. It's not, a bad sign. That's just the seasons moving. But yeah, I think I always hold on to that too when I'm really like in the midst of something and feeling like I'm just having a hard time, like feeling any hope. So definitely like relate to that a lot. It sounds like your Buddhist practice has really helped you just solidify the really solid rhythm of your life and being somebody that's like reliable and trusted and disciplined. And so I'm wondering like what advice you would give to somebody, maybe somebody that's like a young guy, just finished trade school, like similar kind of place, right? And like really is struggling to feel like, you know, any sort of power maybe over their life. What advice would you give them?
Chant Daimoku, you know, but just don't give up, stay positive. You know, life is gonna throw obstacles at us, but always just know that, you know, the tough times ain't gonna last forever. Obstacles help us grow. And to the young man out there, um, don't give up, do your best. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. And that's how we grow. We learn doing my eshe activities, chanting Daimoku, helping others behind the scenes, also taking on leadership, how I was able to grow as a person, as a young man, and supporting others too helped me grow. So and recognize like okay, we have negativity in life, but it's okay. We can't be swayed by it. You know, it's gonna come, but let's just keep fighting, let's keep going. So definitely from high school to now, of course, I always have obstacles, still doing my human revolution. Um, Negativity is there in life, but always, you know, like from my activities, from chatting, engaging with others in the Buddhist community, that's how I grew. I feel like I grew as a person, you know, from when a boy turned into a man, you can say. But yeah, it was just it didn't happen overnight. No, it took many years, many dialogues with others, and yeah, just to continue to do these activities, continue to chant, and yeah, there is a pressure I think out there that we got to be this way, look this way. We need to make money and this and that. Um, and it can feel like, you know, the pressure of life hits you. It's day-to-day things, you know, we face as men, young men, and but my practice always helped me to realize that hey, I can just be myself, do my best, continue. You know, I don't have to be like these guys on the internet or be like this guy, be like that guy. I can just be myself. But my best advice is just to be yourself. Be yourself no matter what. Yeah. Don't have to be like this guy, that guy, you know. Be yourself and do your best, you know. Give it your all. Be yourself. Be happy. There's only one you, so yeah, be the best. Be the best. Be the best version of yourself. So that's probably my best advice I'd give. Don't give up and just keep going. Life is hard, but don't give up. Never give up.